Imagine turning on the TV and seeing yourself on a major network show, doing something you wish you did differently. Now, even if you haven't been on TV, you probably made the same mistakes I did and wish you handled them better, which is why today I'm gonna tell you my 5 regrets, if I'm being honest, from my 2 challenges on Naked and Afraid. But more importantly, I'm gonna tell you the one valuable lesson I learned from all these mistakes so that you don't have to make the same ones. And stick around till the end because I have a free download for you. It's called The 3 Zones of Survival. It not only takes away all the noise of a stressful situation, but it gives you the clarity and the power to take the action you need to take. And if I had had this tool in my first Naked and Afraid challenge, I would not have made my first major mistake, which is not listening to my body. That's a zone 1 problem. Don't worry, by the end of this video, you're gonna know what I mean when I say zone 1, 2, and 3, and you're gonna know how to solve problems in each of those zones.
Number one concern is definitely my partner. She's in a lot of pain, and I'm worried about that.
Ever since I broke my back studying contortion in Beijing, China, I've dealt with chronic back pain and degenerative disc disease. I take really, really good care of myself, but because of mistakes I'll talk about in 3 and 5, I just ignored what my body was telling me.
She doesn't really talk about it a whole lot, but she doesn't have to. I mean, it's apparent.
And not only did this cause problems in Zone 1 myself, but it wore on the team, which is a Zone 2 problem. But even in modern life, I think we all make this mistake. I think honestly, all of us are guilty of this, especially when it comes to meeting work deadlines or taking care of our kids. There's all these invisible shoulds. I call them the invisible shoulds. And they also are part of why I have this second big mistake and the thing I really wish I did differently, which is people pleasing. If I'm being really honest with you, this one is actually the one that still bothers me over a year later. Not because of any conflict or problem it caused, but actually the opposite. This is something I've been working on for a long time as a half Japanese female, but in that challenge in South Africa, I had a really hard time emotionally with my partner. And if you saw the episode, you can probably guess why, but I actually really love and respect that woman, but I created a lot of problems for myself without realizing it. You see, there were quite a few things that as a survivalist I knew were not logical. And as the only person on the challenge who had experience doing Naked and Afraid before, I really was in the right to stand up for myself. And I did, but I was so afraid of looking like a jerk or embarrassing someone on TV that I didn't say what was really on my mind. I didn't want to cause drama, especially on TV. But if I could go back, I would have explained my reasoning more and been a little more stubborn about doing what I knew needed to be done, regardless of who it pissed off or how I looked on TV. And we all do this in some level. I think this is especially easy to do if you're a parent. I think it's especially easy to do if you're in a leadership position at your job. And it's, of course, related to another mistake I made that I'm not that proud of. But the truth is, I was trying to be better than I was. I was trying to be cooler than I was. And this mistake shows up in a lot of different ways if you look at my 2 challenges on Naked and Afraid, whether it was, pretending I'm not in as much pain as I am, more okay with my partner's behavior than I was, or I definitely pretended I was cooler than I was, thinking I was gonna get big game in South Africa. So I don't regret any of these. I'm really glad I tried. But the truth is, it wasn't wrong of me to try hunting in South Africa. I'm a new hunter. It's an incredible opportunity, and I'm really glad I tried. However, I stayed at it for like 18 days before I switched to fishing. And of course, when I started fishing, that's when we got our meal. But because my ego was involved, because I wanted to be cool, not even for TV, but for myself. Like, I wanted to achieve this iconic moment. But if I'm being honest with you and myself, part of the reason I made that mistake isn't just my ego, It's really what is at the core of the next few and my big lessons, and it's that I really underestimated my environment. So I left the jungle almost exactly a month ago, and since then my hair has started falling out. It's like really thin, and I think it's because I was starving. Also, I still have scars on my boobs and my hips from the bugs, but overall my health is really good. My mental health has been struggling, to be honest. I miss how simple life is out there, and today's gloomy, so it doesn't help. Harder than the environment of Trinidad and Tobago, harder than the environment of South Africa, was actually the environment that you and I are sitting in right now in modern life. The world behind this rock, the world down there. A lot of people don't know this, but both times I came back from Naked and Afraid, I actually had some mental health challenges because modern life is just, you don't realize it till you're away from it, but it is so overwhelming and messes with our stress responses all the time. I was really anxious and depressed, and if it weren't for the tool I'm gonna share with you in a moment, I would have been depressed and anxious a lot longer. And I would know because depression is something I have experience with, as is anxiety, as is post-traumatic stress disorder, and I study it in grad school, not just depression, but mental health. Oh, a crow. There's this really common saying in survival of control your controllables. And one of my biggest mistakes is that I just forgot how to do that. And you probably do too. I mean, there are so many situations and environments that strip us of our ability to come back to our gut, our intuition, what we know is right to do, and more importantly, the ability to act on those instincts, which is where the free tool I'm giving you in the description below comes in. It's called the 3 Zones of Survival, and it's something I actually learned from Les Stroud, aka Survivor Man. Zone 1 is you. It's the only thing you have control over. Zone 2 is your environment. You can influence it, and it can influence you. And Zone 3 is the big picture, the systems, the perspective of the great world we exist in. And when you learn to identify your resources and threats in each zone, it not only takes away all the noise of a stressful situation, but it gives you the clarity and the power to take the action you need to take. If I had used this in Tobago, I would have listened to my body so much sooner. If I had had this in South Africa, that people pleasing, it wouldn't have happened, because I would have clearly said, here's zone 1, here's zone 2, here's zone 3. Just having the awareness of what's you, your environment, and the big picture that's very much out of your control is one of the most powerful tools I've found for clarifying the noise of modern life. And it's also extremely helpful as a mental health or personal growth and healing tool. And I know that because I teach this all around the country. The other part of our brain here, this little red dot, that's our amygdala. It's your survival or primitive brain. Fight, flight, freeze. I study this in grad school. This is a thing I've been working on for years, and I truly believe it will help you, which is why I made it free. You can download it using the link below. Whatever challenge you're facing, whether it's in yourself, zone 1, your environment, zone 2, or the big picture, I hope the mistakes I made and the lesson and worksheet I'm sharing with you help you be a little happier on the hike of life. Happy trails.